Stampers. Today I decided I better do another video while I still remembered what I did yesterday. And so I am going to show you something that I get requested very often, and it's about tying simple bows. I have learned that many of you, and myself included, struggle with tying bows. I call that bow challenged. And so today I am going to show you the simplest way that I have found, and even you can be successful at tying great bows. So stick with me and I'm going to show you a little secret. So I'm going to begin with what I use to make my patterns, and I use the tag board that comes in the back of our Designer Series paper and cut that apart to make templates for making bows. And what's great is I can make many of them and give them away, but I can also make many sizes. And so this happens to be one that I use often, and I've actually labeled the little piece of tag board ribbon template and how wide it is and how long I need to cut my ribbons so that each time I use it I don't have to remeasure or make a new one. And I've used our word window punch and just punched right down the center of this 1.5 inch piece of tag board. And so I'll do the same thing with one that I've labeled ribbon template, and it's a 2-incher, and I just eyeball the middle and a 10-inch piece of ribbon. And I just take my word window punch and almost cut the whole thing, but leave just a little bit attached. And so there I've got a template for a 2-inch bow. So I'm going to start out again with this one, and I'm going to take some of our Celebration ribbon, and this is what I used to create the bow on this card. And what is really fun about this, when you learn how to do them, your knot in the center of your bow is almost half the size of what a knot is when you tie a bow. So what I'm going to start with then, I always say put the ribbon template so it looks like an arch. And believe it or not, I started out making these same kinds of bows using plastic forks, taking the center tines out. Well, I discovered that it was very, very difficult to continue to hang on to those plastic forks because I had to put them between my knees because I didn't have 3 hands. And so you'll just see how I came up with this. So to begin with, you put your ribbon so that it's centered in the back, and you crisscross them in the front so it almost looks like a bow to begin with, minus the knot. You take the ribbon that is on top, go down through the slot and up through the hole, and then you set this down. And what's wonderful is you don't need to have a friend's finger, because you can hold the template down with one hand and you simply tie just a half a knot, so the first half of your knot. And of course, because I'm doing this for video, I'm a little finger tied right now. So, and then this is very important, you pull your ends horizontal so that they don't end up looking like a cross, and just pull it nice and snug, and you've really tied a knot. So now this bow, and then you turn it over and you have this beautiful bow. Perfect every time, and you just can snip your ends to the length that you want them. And so it turns out to be a perfect bow every time, and then I just attach them with mini glue dots. So I'm going to show you another one just using the bigger ribbon, and that would be one that I did on this card. And again, I don't have as big of a lump where the knot goes. And that's always good when you're mailing your cards. And my favorite ribbon for doing this is our seam binding, because it ties so nice. And so again, I'm going to center my template over my ribbon, and I'm going to crisscross the ribbons. Pick up your template, the one that's on top goes down through the slot and up through the hole. Set your template down and your ribbon will not slide, and now just simply tie a knot. Pull your ribbons sideways and pull it nice and snug. And what's great is once your ribbon is tied, you cannot untie those because you tied it in a knot. So your bow, it doesn't matter how much you pull, your bow is going to stay, and you have a perfect bow every time. So now you can tie perfect bows too. You can do these, cut these templates any width that you want to make a larger ribbon, or as narrow as you want to make a smaller ribbon. And one last thing I'll show you is on this card, and I got this in a swap. I did not make it up, but I thought, how can I do that? And this happens to be, I think the person tied it, and we'll give credit, Lori Segal. Love this card. It's a great class card or Stamp-A-Stack card. But to tie this, the same thing, only I added a little bit of length onto my ribbon. So instead of 8 inches, I cut myself 10 inches. And I would just leave one of the tails to be the size that I normally would, and one's a little bit longer. And then I would down through the slot and up through the hole. Tie it. Pull nice and snug, and the satin ribbon is slipperier, so you really want to pull nice and tight. But now you can see I have my perfect bow ready to go on, and then I've got my 2 tails so that I can tuck one on this side and one on this side, and I don't ever have to worry about that bow coming untied. So I hope you enjoyed this and that you will become a bow expert too. Thanks for coming today.